Oh, this is great. I'm surprised. This is actually a first for me. I might even have to try my hardest against you. You know, I just came up with a fun little idea. I wonder how far I can go with this.
Fun?
You're not satisfied with where we left it either, are you? Isn't this what you really wanted? You and I are going to strike and strike again until one of us is dead. To hell with holding back!
Hello there, and welcome to the bonus episode, the much anticipated bonus episode of Persona 5 Royal. I am your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the Morgana to my Joker, John. John, would you like to make a deal on this very special episode of PlayStation Pals?
No.
What?
Haha, tricked you. Sure. What's the deal?
Well, we just have a bond, you know. I say I am thou, thou art I, and now we have a bond, and we'll hang out. I'll increase your confidant level, and
Can I rip your face off?
No.
But isn't that
you
part
do
of
that
it?
to yourself.
Okay. Well, go. All right, you rip your face off first. I'll go second. Yeah, that would be I'm picking up what you're laying down now. I kind of guess I got to realize this is the Persona podcast, so all references will be Persona references. Got it.
Yes, they will. And again, if you have not played Persona 5, spoiler warning, we are taking the gloves off. We will be talking about everything about the game. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all, please turn off the podcast now. So let's get into the stats. John, do you remember what year Persona 5 came out?
2016.
Wow, look
September.
at you. Wow, geez.
September 29th.
Not that specific.
Damn it. All right.
September 15th.
Okay.
2016 in Japan. This franchise is almost 8 years old.
Well, this game. The franchise is super old.
Yeah, the game. Sorry.
Yeah. I can't believe that this game is that old. Like, it's one of those games that every time I check it out, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, it's been out for this long. Like, we should really be anticipating a Persona 6 announcement at some point this year, I would think.
Yeah, 100%. It did launch worldwide April 4th, 2017. And then Persona 5 Royal, the edition that I played, would later come to PS4 on October 31st, 2019 in Japan, and then March 31st worldwide. And then the PS5 version of the game, the specific version that I played, came out on October 21st, 2022. Again, I picked the perfect time to play because it had just come out. Mm-hmm. And the PS5 version is 60 frames per second. So, and as we learned with Redfall, it's all about that FPS.
Yeah, in a turn-based JRPG game, you need those frames.
This was developed by P Studio and published by Atlas. It was directed by Katsura Hashino, written by Shink Yamamoto, Yuichiro Tanaka, and Katsura Hashino. And character design, and I want to emphasize because the character design is great in this franchise, by Shigenori Sojima. And then the composer who did all those great songs, all the songs done by Lin, was Shoji Meguro. So, and I really wanted to emphasize those people because they did a great job. Persona 5 is a masterpiece, probably the greatest JRPG of recent memory. And
yeah, you're probably right. I mean, another contender, Dragon Quest XI, maybe, or
true.
Yeah, I would say of the past 10 years, it's definitely probably a frontrunner.
Yeah, it's currently sitting at a 94 on Metacritic, and I'll just review it right off the bat. It is a 5 out of 5 game for me. I know, John, you didn't play it, but would your sentiment be
Yeah, I mean,
And it's that good.
what I'm comfortable saying is it's a 5 out of 5 story. And that's about the extent that I can do. I've seen all the narrative. I haven't seen the royal content, so I am missing a little bit there. But it's just, it's one of those truly special packages that oozes style. The music is top tier. The characters and the relationships that they build with one another, if you're into that kind of thing, is probably only rivaled by a series like Mass Effect. So if you're somebody who just really wants to invest yourself in a world and feel attached to a world and characters like this, that you really would be hard pressed to find something better than this.
Right, and I think what really differentiates this from Mass Effect is that the story is very applicable to modern day and to yourself, and the struggles that the Phantom Thieves go through and the people that they know is very relatable. It's
Dude,
it's scary.
the Reapers were fucking up my house last night. What do you mean?
That's why I think this really elevates this story above Mass Effect, is that I think if you play this game and relive this story, is you become a better person too. Like, that's how good of the writing is, and a lot of these character arcs are. So this game did inspire a lot of extra content too. I just wanted to mention all that. There is Persona 5 Strikers. There's Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight. There's Persona 5 the animation. John, there's an anime about this.
You gonna watch it?
I looked it up. It's on I think Crunchyroll or something. I had to pay, but
do a trial, dude. That's what I did for the Nier Automata one that I fell off of very quickly.
I wonder if it's the same studio too. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these video game adaptations are the same.
I mean, it's
studio.
just an easy
right. The story's
slam
already
dunk
done.
thing to do. Yeah.
Characters are.
I will say, like, the Persona 5 animation series has a 6.6 on IMDb, which isn't great. So
okay.
If you are going to check it out, I wouldn't expect the quality to be on the same level.
Okay. It also led to a Joker being in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is very bizarre because you cannot play Persona 5 on any Nintendo console.
They still haven't put that over?
Unless
I know they just did 3 and 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they did.
Hold on, we're gonna fact check Nick in real time
All
here.
right.
Let's see. Is Nick a good boy or a bad boy? He's a good boy.
Yeah, there you go. So, which makes it even weirder. And then there's also an upcoming game, Persona 5: The Phantom X, on mobile. So,
Oh, he's a bad boy. It's on Switch. Royal specifically is on Switch. Original one was not.
okay,
Sorry.
okay. And then is that recent? How recent is that?
Yeah, it's October 2022. It's probably the same
Oh,
time that it
yeah.
came to PS5.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well.
But but at the time of Super Smash Bros.
Right.
Was not.
And there is the Royal versus the Standard Edition. We don't need to really get into that. It's just that the main crux of it is there's 2 new confidants, a new party member, and a whole nother semester to school. So after the original ending of the game, there is a whole month of another palace to do and whatnot. So. First of all, I guess let's just get into the story. The story again takes place in modern day Tokyo, and you play as a character that you get to name, but he goes by the Joker. Every Phantom Thief gets a name, but you name
A moniker.
Yeah, you give him a moniker. Yep, and then they just refer to you as him or he or this dude. You know, and then really it doesn't take long for you to just mysteriously meet with a stranger named Igor and his prison wardens. I forget what their exact names were.
Christine and Justine, I think. I know Justine is definitely one of them. Definitely one of them.
Because I think I just wrote them down as the wardens. Oh yeah, Caroline and Justine.
Caroline.
And yeah, not long as you find you and Ryuji, another student who's kind of like late to school, kind of just find yourself in a palace randomly, and the events of the story kick on from there as you. I don't really know, like, it's kind of like when the characters are fed up with the hand that life dealt them, or they're just like backed into a corner. Their way of fighting back is this persona awakening, which is kind of like an internal being that makes a bond with them and allows them to do supernatural abilities. And I think the cool thing about the game is that every character just kind of accepts it. You know, there's no like, what is happening to me? It's more like you get this badass moment where their persona is talking to them, and then it's just like a part of the game, you know.
Do you remember if Ryuji was present when Joker's persona awakened? Okay, so that would definitely help, right? Because like if you're going through that for the first time by yourself, you're probably gonna freak the fuck out. But you know, at least Ryuji and Joker together could like, you know, maybe ease others into that a little more, as opposed to just like. Because I mean, I think from what I remember, there were still moments like that. Like I feel like Makoto specifically, when she transformed or whatever, she was kind of like, "What the fuck? What happened?" But
maybe after the fact, but in the moment, it's like because Makoto's was the motorcycle, and then she instantly just drives it out of the bank. In one of the cool moments, and this is gonna lead me to my first question. Who's your favorite party member?
That's
all of them.
I was gonna have you rank them. So my favorite, Futaba, Yusuke, and Makoto are all great. Out of those three, I probably like Futaba the best.
Yeah.
She's obviously this game is narrative heavy first, right? This is a 101-hour campaign. It's very, very time consuming, but because it's so time consuming, it allows you to spend time with these characters and to get into nuance and figure out how deep they truly are. And Futaba is an interesting one because she kind of introduces herself as an enemy, and you go through this journey of going through her palace and kind of getting her on the right path where she needs to be in life, and then she turns out to be one of the most useful fucking people that you could possibly imagine having. She's hacker superstar.
The interesting thing is she asked you to steal her heart.
Yeah.
Throughout the story, you're stealing hearts from very evil men, like guys, as we've talked about on the normal show, of people that are exploiting people around them. And when you steal their heart, they kind of have a change of heart. They kind of come to terms with the evil things they do, and they confess, you know. And the first three are very evil, like just by the books evil people. And then when you get to Futaba and she asks you to steal her heart, it is very different. And again, that is one of my favorite moments of the game.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about Futaba too is she serves a much different role. She's kind of like your navigator.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't really she's not a party member in the fact that you can command her. Like she's not someone like just another slot of the four people, because when you're in battle, you have four party members. She's kind of just an overall person that kind of comments on everything. And then it's like if you're lucky, or I don't know what really triggers it, but then she'll help buff everybody on your team. Yeah. Which is always a cool moment.
Yeah, she was a good balance of sass, smart, and just kind of very, very empathetic. You know, there's moments, especially early on, where she's just like curled up in a ball, and you really feel for her. But then, you know, when she comes out and she does something super helpful, really easy to cheer for kind of character. And you know, she's got the nerdy, cute, you know, glasses kind of look too going for her. So
yeah. It's nice because there's a whole arc where you're just trying to slowly introduce her to the outside world. Yeah. And I think the ending of that is just going to the beach. You know, so everyone takes turns like trying to get her out and exposing her to more and more, because she's been a shut-in. Due to her mom passing away, she's kind of just lived this shut-in life, and this is why she's so good with computers. But that is a really good choice. Yeah. Futaba is up there.
Who's the worst one?
Probably Haru Okumura.
Yeah, I agree, and it's not fair because she's the last one, so you just don't get as much time with her.
Yeah, and she's kind of, again, like a lot of the palaces are very similar. Every palace is a party member too, pretty much. Like there's a direct correlation. And hers was just kind of the most typical, just like an evil father.
Which one was that?
It's the space station. Right. Because her dad is a big corporate guy, and he's forcing her to get married for political gain and stuff like that. So it's just not... it is a more interesting introduction to her because you kind of have this falling out with Morgana, so she's already in the palaces by the time you meet her, she's just not like the other party members who kind of just wander in accidentally and become part of your party. She kind of just already is, but which is not even the best story in the game by far. I think that little slice of story is a better story for Morgana and how important he was to the whole group than Haru, but she's fine. She serves a purpose too. She's kind of the quirky plant lady.
Gotta have a quirky plant lady.
Yeah, very soft spoken.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really. Again, she got dealt the bad hand of being the last party member. So did you have a favorite story moment? I don't want to go over each and every story thing, but did you have a story moment out of the entire game?
With the exception of, it's funny because obviously there's a lot of very dramatic moments. What this game does exceptionally well is it blends, like Nick said, these real life scenarios that you can kind of touch upon and relate to your own life, but also, you're going to alternate dimensions and weird things. So there's lots of bananas things happening all the time. But weirdly enough, the part that always sticks out to me is when they take their class trip to Hawaii. For whatever reason, it was just like it was. I liked seeing them just go on a big trip and like kind of just leave Japan. It was kind of interesting. Obviously the setting changed drastically, but also just to kind of see them be kids. And I remember myself going on trips, especially in middle school and high school, and the feeling that you get when you get away from where you've kind of been your whole life and the sense of freedom you have is amazing. And I can only imagine how that would feel as a kid growing up in Tokyo and going to a place like Hawaii. Would be nuts. And but that's kind of like, probably more analysis on the way that I consume the game, as opposed to being the player making the decisions and things like that. It was just kind of one of the more memorable arcs, I guess, just to fill up my lunches that I spent. I spent a year and a half watching this story play out. But
okay, I have quite a few. So not a lot as compared to the whole entire game, but my first one is just everyone's persona reveal. Like that is the best moment they play. That the music, the characters kind of finally standing up for themselves. Lady Ann's is particularly good. I played it in front of one of our episodes. I don't remember which one. But just them like kind of being fed up and the music and then you always and then you always wonder what their persona is going to look like, because the personas themselves are always so bizarre and like mech looking or cartoony looking, so it's
penis looking.
Yeah, something like that. But everyone, when I knew they were coming, it was always a great moment. I do have Shiho's suicide attempt as being the one which happens very early on. This is
where we're going.
Yeah, this is the best friend of Lady Ann, and through the abuse by the volleyball teacher, attempts to take her own life. And I was just like, holy shit! Like, this is games don't cover this.
No, especially you look at the cover. It's like, it's bright, it's colorful, it's got music, and then you get hit with that. First palace is sexual predator man. So.
Yeah, that leads to student suicide. So, so that was it. Morgana leaving the party because of he didn't felt like he was wanted or needed, and Ryuji being a big bonehead. He's kind of like
he's the heel of the group.
Yeah, he's and not the brightest one, the one that will kind of mention the Phantom Thieves names around normal people, so
he's the me of the group. Yeah, he's just the dumb loud one.
Yeah. So puts his foot in his mouth. So and I thought that was a bummer moment, because I guess I didn't even say it. My favorite party member is Morgana. He's just a great character. And then it was a very heartfelt moment when he finally was back with them. So.
Oh, actually, I do have another one.
Go ahead.
The part where Akechi kills Joker.
Yes.
Yes. Did you have that written down too?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you talk to it, because you could probably explain a lot better than I can too. But it was just a really good twist, and I was like, how the fuck is this going to work out? And then when they finally does it, it makes sense.
We'll touch on it in just a moment, because I have one more thing ahead of that, and that was Okumaro's death. If you remember, when they change his heart, he's going to do a big press conference.
Yeah.
And we really haven't seen. Well, I think we have at this point. We have seen a few people. The principal dying is when a person is killed in their mind palace. in the real world, it's pretty gruesome. Like, they leak black stuff from their eyes, and their eyes just roll back. It's pretty gruesome. So Okomaru is going to have his change of heart at a live press conference, and you're like, and your whole team is like, yeah, we did it, we won.
This is Haru's dad.
Yeah, and it's Haru's dad, and you're all like, yeah, we're like at the, because throughout the game you have this little meter that says how much do you believe in the Phantom Thieves, and it keeps going up and up and up, and it's like at peak moment right here, and his death was just like, holy shit, like
Plummeted.
yeah, that this high point was just taken away from you, and that leads into Akechi, the boy detective. Now, I think I talked to you about this, John. Did you realize that he was going to end up being the big bad?
I definitely didn't. Something didn't smell right. I didn't know to what degree, but it's funny. We read a lot of the same questions. I was like, at what point do you remember getting a bad feeling about Akechi? And I remember, I think, when you start spending time with these characters, right? Joker, I think he goes and plays pool with Akechi, right? Like, Akechi was like a pool shark. And, and like, it was at the point I'm like, oh, maybe we will just be friends. And like, then you start to kind of like, oh, he's going to come into a palace with us, or, like, does it that way. So I think I kind of immediately didn't trust him, but the game did a good job of like walking me back on that until the moment when it is revealed. And I'm like, I knew it, you fuck. I knew it.
Yeah, because Akechi's like, he's the good boy detective. He is instantly the rival of your character, Joker. He goes by Crow, is his Phantom Thief name. And you don't know what to think of it all, but I knew because the game in the first half is told of this before time. So there's this before time, and then you're always cutting back to this interview where you got caught. And you're getting interviewed by Sai, for your last name now. Sai Nijima. Yeah, Sai Nijima. And in those discussions, she mentions that someone betrays you. So I was a little keyed in on him, especially because this was his plan. Like, the fifth palace, the casino palace, was all his plan. He was pushing it the whole time.
That was the best palace, though.
It is, yeah. That was going to be a question later, but
check.
So because the opening of the game starts with you getting caught in that palace, you knew like this was the turning point. So I think a lot of it was pointing to him, but him walking into the room, shooting the guard in the room right away, and then he doesn't even do the villain speech. He just shoots Joker right in the face, like you're the player character, and I knew it wasn't. Real.
You had to, but I was like, but why? Like, explain this to me.
Because leading up to that, they were focusing on the phone, like show Akechi this phone, and that triggers the like Phantom Thief. Or
Metaverse.
Yeah, the Metaverse.
Is that really what it's called, or am I just Facebooking?
No, that is what it is.
Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. I don't mean to plug a Mark Zuckerberg product here.
So that's. So I knew that he was killed in the not real world, but I didn't know how they knew how that was all going to shake down and how they prevented it from happening.
Okay.
So the whole kind of go back and show how you worked with Futaba, how she got access to Akechi's phone, all the tricks that you pulled. It was a cool moment because usually it's always the bad guy getting one over you. And having the game reverse it and be like, oh, look at that. Yeah. The heroes actually got one over this guy because Akechi, again, is revealed to be the big bad guy. And it was also a nice reveal when he finds out that you figured him out. Like you're in, I believe you're in Shido's palace, right? Yeah. I think it happens after.
I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember when your fight with him. I think it is after Shido's palace.
Okay.
Because that's also a good reveal in the story moment, is when the Phantom Thieves reveal that they still exist and that they're targeting Shido, who has been the big bad guy throughout the game. His palace is a cruise ship and has all these corrupt officials on it, so it's this big lead up to this guy.
And did you explain, I'm sorry if you did, but did you explain Joker getting in trouble in the very beginning?
I did not. No.
Okay,
no.
so one of the things that kind of sets this whole thing into motion, right, is Joker tries to come to the aid of a girl who's being harassed by an older man, and trying to do the right thing, and that's kind of the central theme throughout the whole game. Is like, grown-ups kind of continuously letting us down and doing the wrong thing, and we can make a difference. But the guy that basically Joker was trying to save the girl from was a high-ranking official. And it's this guy, Shido, who's about to run for prime minister. So now we've kind of come full circle. And Shido is, like I said, he's trying to become prime minister, and he's not a good guy.
Yeah, he's causing all the trouble that you've been hearing of. There's always been like psychotic moments for people. People crashing subway trains, the principal of your school dying. Okamaro dying, Futabo's mom, who was doing the research into the metaverse and cognitive science, and her dying. Like, he's the big bad of it all. And you find out in the typical villain speech between him and Akechi, like, even though they know what has happened, they're saying out loud what has happened, and then you learn that, they're kind of behind everything. So, but it was a great moment when they reveal that the Phantom Thieves are in fact alive and going after Shido. And there's some great moments where Shido is freaking out. In fact, he tries to take a pill that stops his heart.
Oh, yeah.
To keep him from revealing from stealing his heart. And, and then that's what happens. On the way out is when they get stopped by Akechi, and the big reveal of like him being very upset and him revealing that his true persona is Loki.
That his dad is Shido.
Yeah, and that his dad is Shido.
But he's a bastard.
And then his plan all along was to kill Shido when he was at the height of his power. It's just some silly things there. Not all of it quite lands, but it's still a great moment. The Shido fight is just a great build-up, because at the time you think it's the final fight of the game, and I've been playing this song for John over and over, the Lynn song "Rivers in the Desert," which we will hear at the end of this episode.
No, you just heard it now. What do you mean?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that plays during this fight. So yeah, it's just such a great moment, and then moving past that, after the one of my favorite parts of the game was after you do reveal Shido or steal the heart of Shido, and he goes on a press conference, and he's like being elected, like he's about to win, and this is like his election speak. He goes on there and says he's murdered people. He murdered Okamura. He did all these terrible things to all these people. And then nobody does anything. Like, the whole general public does not care. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this blew my mind. Like, this is kind of like the state of American politics right now. Like,
it's too real. I don't like it.
Yeah. It's just like, people are like, they're so comfortable. Mm-hmm. They don't want decisions made for them. And then to have that lead into the plot and lead into further the story, to reveal the true big bad was pretty great. Even though I will say the most disappointing part of the game to me was the final boss and the lead up to that. You find out that Igor, the guy that's been kind of guiding you through this whole process, is not the real Igor. The real Igor is trapped. He took the wardens, who used to be one person, and split them into two people. It's
some weeby bullshit.
Yeah, it's some anime bullshit. Because they fuse together to create the one person, and the one person's not as interesting as when they were separate wardens. Like, they were a much funner character. And then the true bad guy, I can't even remember his name. It's like Yosuba.
Yaldobaus?
Yeah, Yaldobaus.
Yaldobaus.
Yeah. And again, it's fine. It's a typical JRPG final fight, but it's a bummer that this was the culmination, but it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you, Nick. That kind of leads into it. Maybe this is the answer, but I was going to ask you, if Persona 5 had one flaw, what would it be?
Yeah, it is definitely that ending. It is the last, 20, 30 minutes of the original game's ending, not going into the royal content.
Okay.
And then in the royal content, my favorite reveal was, so in the royal content, you find out that Maruki, the counselor persona, has somehow figured out a way to tap into the metaverse, and now, ever since you beat Yaldabaoth or whatever, he is able to manipulate the world of mementos to form any reality that you choose. So everyone in your party gets their most happiest reality. You know, Makoto's dad is alive, Haru's dad is alive, Futaba's mom is alive. A lot of people that are dead are alive. Morgana becomes a real human, which is really bizarre, and a lot of good things. But one of the great reveals of that is that Joker's reality is that Akechi is alive. He ends up dying at the end of Shido's palace, and it was kind of a weird reveal because at the end of the game, Akechi was going to go down for everything that you did, like all the crimes that you committed, all the changing of hearts. And then you find out that, if I defeat Maruki, Akechi's going to die, and then I have to go to jail because all the crimes will be on me now because he never existed anymore. And I thought that was a good reveal. I'm like, oh, shit.
Well, speaking of characters that gave you a bad vibe, Maruki, dude, like from the beginning, and
nice.
I know, but there was I was hoping it was going to pay off into something, and maybe it did in the royal version. But one thing I noticed that he kept doing, at least in the beginning of the game, is every time you were in his office, here, have something to eat. Have something to drink. Like, what are you doing? Why do you keep offering us weird snacks? And so I was like, I don't know if that ever has anything on anything, but that guy, he was always too nice. Every girl liked him. He was charming. He was funny. Like, so not surprising that he turned out to be not perfect, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. He's not your typical bad guy by any means. He is trying to, save people from facing pain, which is a real thing, when bad things happen, it's hard to face those things.
But pain makes things more real.
yeah.
Right?
Well, that's kind of what
things
all the Phantom
good.
Thieves come together to do to defeat him. So, and then I guess we can quickly touch on the social aspect of the game. And did you have a favorite confidant? So not a party member.
So this is a part that I also probably regrettably don't have a lot of experience with. They stuck to the main story. So I saw like a little bit with the arcade kid.
Oh god, he's the worst one.
Yeah,
Shinya Oda,
the politician, the doctor, pharmacist lady.
Yeah, Tai Takemi.
So like, I didn't get a ton of that. I would say the politician guy seemed pretty interesting, where he was kind of like just. Mm-hmm. I feel like he was just he was like a down and out politician that used to be riding high and kind of fucked something up, and so he's trying to kind of go on a redemption arc. So I could see that becoming kind of a cool character, but no, I don't really have an attachment to any of them.
Okay. Did you see Yuki at all? Yuki Mishima?
Is she the chess player?
Yeah.
A little bit, not. Okay. But she was like she showed up and I was like, who are you? And then she went away. So
yeah, that was my favorite one, and it's not surprising that she was originally supposed to be an additional party member.
Oh, really?
Like that was the original plan for her. But she also has a good arc.
Okay.
And then I was gonna get into the combat briefly.
Yeah.
And
so let me start with my question.
Okay.
So obviously the main draw of this game is the style, social aspects, and things. Do you feel the combat was deep enough to warrant the 100-hour campaign? Or were you trying to just get through fights to get back to everything else?
Boy, that's a good question. Because it is, once you figure out everything's weakness in a palace, it is really just mindless repetition.
That's what I felt when I was playing it, and one of my struggles with it.
Though there's so many elements that I like. I wish there were, because especially in the big final boss battle with Maruki, it kind of really leaned into the baton passes and the getting the free spell when everyone does a baton pass, but the game itself doesn't offer that as much as I'd like.
What's a baton pass again?
So if you hit an enemy with their weakness, you get to attack again. You get what it's called a once more. But you also have baton passes, and I think that's new to this game.
So you can give your once more to somebody else?
Yeah, you can give your once more to somebody else, and then they get additional turn. And then if they do a weakness, and you get bonuses too. So when you play darts, with your team, you can get bonuses to the baton passes. So you can get attack up. If you get a baton pass, you get health and SP, the magic points. And so if you baton pass between the whole team, you'll get a free attack. It costs 0. So the attacks that cost HP cost nothing, and then any spell would cost nothing.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
okay. All right.
So there are a lot of cool elements to it, but it's not fully utilized in the game. And I would say, I mean, I did like seeing new personas, but like I said, once you realize the elements, and sometimes when you get a persona whose weakness is another party member, and you're like, oh, I got to swap out the party member for this one, and it gets a little tiresome. But I think that's a JRPG staple.
That's JRPG stuff, yeah. I mean, that makes sense because one of the, I don't mean to hijack the conversation real quick, but one of the things with Persona that I always struggled with is the sense of, I get FOMO all the time. And so, when you have all this free time to just go do what you want and increase something, I'm like, I don't know what I need to be worrying about. And so I could see, but I think I remember talking to you that, it's really not that bad once you really just kind of get into it. And so the idea that all the extra things are eventually going to culminate into the battle system and then that they all feed into one another, I can see that making sense. Just, you can't put more than 8 hours into the 100-hour game, I guess.
Yeah. And I don't know, you probably didn't see the Thieves Den at all, which is this side world where you can we're kind of like the completionists go.
I don't think so, no.
It's it's just kind of like a homage. You can buy art to the game, models to the game, and then you can wander this little museum and see them all.
Okay.
And there are achievements within the game that are in this Thieves Den.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't.
That's for the real completionists, know.
I never got there with any games. Don't you want all the artwork? No.
The artwork is pretty sweet.
I'm sure it is.
I'm not gonna lie.
The styles, out of this world.
But yeah, no, I liked it enough, and I think that's kind of the thing is combat was not that much of a chore. I just think, especially when I would get in a position of grinding. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how you play JRPGs, but I usually attack everything just to keep my stats up. So in this, I would just be sneaking behind everything, attack it. And in Persona 5, there's not a lot of enemies usually on a floor. So I would always make sure that I'm at a level. I never wanted to be behind, even though doing that, I was still behind.
Yeah.
So, I had no problem doing that.
Okay.
I do think I would have got sick of it, but no.
Okay, good.
And I think of some of the, again, a lot of the flourishes of this game, the all-out attack, is awesome.
Yeah, all attack. What is it called when you pair up with a different party member?
Showtime attack.
Showtime attack. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are great too. I think those are new to Royal. So if you didn't play the Royal Edition, you didn't see Showtime attacks.
Really? I'm pretty sure I saw some. Maybe not though.
Well, I thought you said you were watching it. Weren't you watching the Royal Edition of the game? Because you saw Kasumi Yoshizawa, I thought.
Well, she's throughout the game, right?
No, I don't think. No, she's new.
She's new entirely?
Yeah.
So, even during the... Yeah. It's not just well, then I guess I did watch the Royal version. It's just weird because I thought I remembered...
And you saw the Maruki. He's new, too. He's not in the normal one. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so I have it written down, Showtime attacks and the city of Kyochi, and they changed things with the guns in the game. In the original game, bullets refreshed every time you entered a palace. In the Royal Edition, bullets refresh every battle.
Yeah, the first way is stupid.
Yeah. So yeah, my question is: did you have? Well, we'll start with this. Did you have a least favorite palace?
No, because I wasn't playing. I think it's just right. The casino I had a feeling because the music was amazing and it just seemed like there's a lot of extra stuff the ability to go and get currency and I think that whole thing was cool. So no, I feel like I was ready for the desert palace to be over, but that was Futaba's and I liked the story, but I feel like I just didn't like the environments all that much.
Yeah, it was a lot of mirror reflecting and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was just very sandy and orange and brown. No, it was probably that one or the spaceship. Yeah, probably.
Okay, yeah. The bank was my least favorite one, just because that character sucked too.
That was like the like mafia guy.
Yeah.
I just googled the bank. I didn't. It didn't give me what I was looking for.
But yeah, the favorite one is the casino. Not only because it's like you had said, it's a cool location. You find out like the house is manipulating everything, but the fact that that's Sai Nijima's palace, who is Makoto's sister. She's the special investigator. She's a detective in the game, and she turns the courthouse into a casino because I should have checked this. In Japan, the prosecution rate is like 99%. Like if you get committed for a crime, like odds are not in your favor.
Yeah.
So the fact that her mind palace thinks of a courthouse as a casino where the house always wins is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that is one of the coolest aspects of the game. Is how the mind palace is a representation of how the evil people view their subordinates or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kamoshida, the sexual abusive teacher, he was basically king of the castle, right?
Right. Yeah.
And everybody was his servants.
The school was a castle to him.
So always trying to analyze that and realize that there's deeper meanings and stuff to it is always really cool.
Yeah, and then Shido's the cruise ship, and even though the city's flooding and everything, he's always rising above because he's in this fancy cruise ship, which is, all the people on it are people that help him out. So yeah, Definitely all of them, really. They're all some kind of, Futaba's in the pyramid. She was kind of entombed in this thing. Like her room was a pyramid, and she was just stuck there. She couldn't get out. That's one of the great elements of the story. Is just how like it speaks to modern society. And I guess I really don't have much more to add.
Yeah. If you were a Persona character, Nick, what would your name be? What would your moniker be?
It would probably
gamer.
For context, it's kind of like what they. I don't know.
Because like Ryuji is Skull. An is Fox.
No, she's Panther.
Yusuke's Fox. Makoto's Queen.
Yeah.
Haru is.
She is
Noir.
Yeah.
So
Futaba's Navi.
So they all kind of associate to kind of either their role or I don't know. I guess Ryuji views himself as a badass, right? An views herself as kind of a sexy kitten, whatever. So yeah, I mean,
she's a dominatrix, which I think is her reversing the sexualization of her.
Okay.
So she's like taking control of how everyone else views her, as a sexual object.
Sure. She's still wearing a skin tight red suit.
Yeah, with full cleavage. Yeah, yes. But
so you're gonna be sexy kitty? That'd be you.
yeah. I don't know. I probably dog related. I don't know, loyalty.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you thought about this?
Yeah, I thought about it a little bit. I think I'd be like Slugger. I'd be like a baseball guy. Especially if it's like we're talking about our high school days. Like that was my thing.
True.
So that was my number one thing I was into. So like, yeah, I could have a baseball bat. I could see that. Especially Japan loves baseball.
Yeah, Ryuji does technically supposed to be the athlete on the team. He's like a former track star, but he doesn't really. He's more of like the punk.
Mm-hmm.
He's the outcast, the guy that's getting into trouble for the sake of getting in trouble for the attention, rather alone. They didn't really have like an athlete on the team.
No. No, it'd be Ryuji. I mean, I feel like all of them were pretty, like they're all pretty fit. Joker was probably an athlete. That dude just hops around all over the place. And then most important question, Nick, is who's your girl? Who's your waifu?
So I'm probably pretty typical about this in Mass Effect 2 or the Mass Effect series. It was always Liara because she's the first one, right? Mm-hmm. So same thing. It's Lady An. Which is funny because both Ryuji and Morgana have crushes on her, so it's just funnier that it's like...
Yeah. It was always funny with Morgana being a cat.
It's funny that you mentioned that. So I don't know, so you watched this, so you
Yes.
know that when you're, and we talked about it on the normal show, is that when you reach a bond level of 10 with any female in the game, whether they're an adult or your age, anyone, it becomes a it becomes a romantic. It has the option to become a romantic relationship. And then that will come up later in the story. That you mentioned Hawaii trip. You can you can walk the beach with whoever you want. There's a school party, and you can pick who you want to go to that with, and so on and so forth.
That always stresses me out so much.
Did you have one?
I'd probably say Makoto.
Yeah, she's a good one.
She's just smart, cute. I don't know. It's just I like brunettes.
There you go.
So, yeah, and Futaba, but also dark horse candidate Kasumi is she's the athlete. There you go, Kasumi.
Yeah, the gymnast.
DLC gymnast, but so I'm a hornball, I guess. I don't know.
So any. So funny thing is, it was when you get to level 10 and you have this choice, right, to make it a romantic relationship. The first one you get is kind of like, it's a romantic thing, and then as it keeps going on, everyone that when you get to level 10 with is like you're already in a relationship with everyone else. Did you ever learn what happens if for everyone you say yes to?
Mm-mm.
So in my playthrough, I got every confidant to level 10, and I said yes to a romantic relationship. So I had when at the end of the game, it was like, well, who do you want to go on this romantic date with? Because it goes into sweetest day and all that stuff, and so it gave me every female in the game. And I was waiting because I played The Witcher 3, and if you romance multiple characters,
you get
you get screwed. So I was waiting for that shoe to drop, because why was the game warning me this whole time?
Yeah.
And John, do you know what happens?
No.
So you pick who you want to go with. But again, it was Lady An for every opportunity I had. So we went on a romantic date or whatever. The next day, every person that I've said had been in a romantic relationship with was at my door. And then there's this scene with you in the little cafe that you live out of, and they're all in there just asking you questions, and they all have gifts in their hand, and they're
So they're not even upset?
No, they're upset. Yeah,
Oh.
they're like, I saw a light up in your room last night. Who are you with?
That's great.
And then of course it ends with you just sprawled out on the floor. And,
Is your teacher there too?
yeah, all the teachers are there.
Nice.
And then
I'll have to look that up.
and of course Sojiro. I forget what he says, but it's just hilarious because Sojiro is kind of a ladies' man.
Well, and Sojiro is Futaba's dad, so Futaba's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's no mention of that,
No.
and there's really no other than this funny scene. There's really no repercussions as far as the story.
That's a good way to do it, though.
Is it though? Shouldn't you feel bad that you've romanced everyone in the game?
Nick, why do you play video games? Do you play video games to just live your normal life again? Or do you play video games to live a fantasy world where you can bang 8 girls at the same time? Come on. I'm a married man. Let me fantasize.
Yeah, the dream high school experience. You
Right.
know, teachers,
Ladies.
adults, the popular girl at school, the model at school, the nerdy girl at school. You get them all.
Taking on the president. Yeah. Joker's a baller, dude.
Yeah, he really is. He really, really is. But
God, I hate to imagine what my Persona castle would look like. It'd be bad. Probably something like antisocial or isolation related. I don't know. Something to not think about.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's you got to confront it in these games. But yeah, so it's a great game, satisfying ending. It did have the kind of a Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, like you beat the game and there's an hour of just extra stuff that involves every character you've ever met in the game. And then it is kind of sad as, they kind of all go their separate ways. An's going to go model out of the country and you're going to go back home and this and that. And
But you guys get to rejoin back together, Nick, when you play Persona 5 Strikers.
yeah, so
You bring that to the next week's show.
yeah, that was funny. I was looking into all these games because I was like, well, do I have any interest? And then I watched the IGN review for Strikers, and I think it's within the first minute that it's like, oh yeah, this takes place after the events of the game. They go on like a summer road trip, and it's considered canon. And I was like, shit.
I guess I'm playing a Muso.
Yeah, and it doesn't look half bad. IGN reviewed it, or God, I can't talk anymore. IGN reviewed it very well, so it's surprisingly good. But
Be something.
I wonder if it's like a lot of people, because a lot of people are probably coming into it as fans of the game. So I don't think it makes sense for someone that has never played Persona 5 to come do it.
No, you'd be a psycho person.
Yeah, so so it's incredible. Like, again, as John and I have not played this game or any of the previous games in the franchise, to like come to this one and just John watching it and then me finally playing through.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And it was like, I think on my PlayStation 5 it says 101 hours. So that's a huge undertaking this year.
Well, you just looked up a list of the longest video game campaigns of all time, and it's number 1.
Yeah, it was number 1, which is pretty crazy. So you can imagine why we're waiting, since 2016 for Persona 6. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a minute. But I guess to leave it on that, John, is where Persona 6, we're assuming it's going to be a lot of the same themes. Are you in?
I want to really be in, yes. I do. I just worry. I worry, but I put 80 hours into Neon White. So, I'd be lying if I said I don't have the time. I just have to be judicious with my time. But no, I'm a sucker for high review scores. I'm a sucker for good art styles, good music. It's going to have all that, and it seems like this is a team that just learns on what they did before. I don't think we said this on the show, but this is a spin-off series from a series called Shin Megami Tensei, or Tensei. It's been since 1992. This is a long-running series, and I think even there was something before that started in 87. So this is a team that, I'm sure not very many of the same people that worked on Shin Megami Tensei have worked on Persona 5, but they have a lot of history to pull from. They know what they're doing. They have a very clear vision, I'm sure. So I would say Persona 6, when it gets announced, would be maybe the only candidate to get a higher review score than something like Grand Theft Auto 6. And it's that level of quality. It might not be for you, but it's no denying that it's top tier video games.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be the biggest of that. Because what are we on? Dragon Quest 12?
12, yeah. So
there was a Dragon Quest 13, and this was announced. I wonder.
Well, 12 is announced, but not out yet.
Okay.
Yeah, 11 is out. 12 will come out in probably 2 years or so.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, JRPGs are as strong as they've ever been, man. It's interesting to think, Final Fantasy VII back in 1998, and the early Dragon Quest games, Chrono Trigger, shit was popping, shit was popular, but it's like in Persona 6, we're gonna get Final Fantasy 16, we're gonna get Dragon Quest 12. There's JRPGs are alive and well, if you're a fan of them. So.
Yeah, and Like a Dragon, I'll mention that one too. It's going to continue in the JRPG footprint going forward, so that's kind of wild too. So
yeah, you got Sea of Stars if you're a retro JRPG fan coming out later this year, which looks to be super, super good. So.
Yeah. So do you have any other thoughts about Persona 5? I think we can put it to bed now.
Yeah, no, you're welcome for recommending it to you. That's another super Japanese game that I've gotten across your bow, and you loved Other Being Danganronpa, so Nier Automata's coming your way, bud.
Yeah.
Other than that,
it would be an interesting world where Nier Automata 2 is out. I probably should go back and play Nier Automata 1.
Yeah.
But that's a story for another show. All right, so we are going to leave you on another Persona 5 song by Lynn. Yep, it sounds just like that. This is Rivers in the Desert, and the cool thing about this song is that it plays during the final fight with Shido, like a fully voiced. It's just incredible. It's such a good song to be jamming out to while fighting the final boss, and there's so many. We could do a whole topic about great final boss songs. You got Sephiroth's theme from Final Fantasy VII. there's so many good final boss themes, and this is up there with them. This is a great song, and personally my favorite song in the game. So it's rock out to
I
it.
feel like Lynn has now regained the lead of most songs on the show.
For sure. I think this is her 4th or 5th one.
All right,
so.
Machine Girl next week. Stay tuned.
All right, so thank you for listening. Again, if you have any suggestions for our bonus episodes or you have any comments on this one, please email us at PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com or Twitter DM us at PSPalsPod. We thank you for listening. Go play this game if you haven't.
Boom.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
A river in a dry land, the left is in a lost end, a heartbeat for a demon, always is in a strange land. I'm given the balance, but I'm standing on razor's edge now. Real quick, all my life is over. One strike just offending, I'm out of his field of vision. Don't ask why I'm ready, but I'm ready to strike him down now. I just saw the new stars, there's no time for indecision. A river in a dry land, the left is in a lost head. When I hop off new beginnings, burn our feet. Now we need it, a heartbeat for demon. Oasis in a siege land. Remind us what we're here for. Creating new life, creating rivers in the desert. My heart is a furnace, had a selling my word of conflict. One goes what keeps me going. Take back what I lost to the bosses of greed and fear. Yeah. Don't ask why I'm ready, but I'm ready to take them down now. The time for a new start is constantly drawing nearer.